I had some acquaintances here that came to Cuenca a couple of years ago that said to me, gee, I couldn't be such a penny pincher. And actually to have an abundant life as a professional frugalist, nothing could be further from the truth. It has nothing to do with penny pinching. You know, the idea that you're pinching little pennies here and there and cutting coupons and which you can do. I mean, some people just like doing that. But the idea that you have to be a super, you know, just some kind of amazing budgeter or way beyond what is normally understood in budgeting, it just has nothing to do with that. It has 100% to do with having an abundance mentality. And of course, the location that you're in, and because abundance has to do with, you know, what kind of abundance you're surrounded with in the location that you're in. Like for example, in Ecuador, you know, there's no yard sales, and you got to go to Juan El Jury, and you got to spend $144 if you want a pair of pretty decent speakers. But in the States, that's a completely different environment. And for somebody that makes a study of it, you can literally just lack nothing, materially speaking, on a very small income. It is possible, and I talk about how to do that in my course. So check it out in the links below. Here in Cuenca, and I'm going to talk to you about some electronics we brought here, whether we're happy that we brought them or whether we should have brought them, so you can help you out. These speakers are a $3 to $5 item at the Goodwill, okay, or yard sales. So we're in Cuenca, Ecuador, and we've got a pair of name brand speakers. Okay, so that's the speakers, and you can see when I put my hand on it here, they're even larger than the ones at Juan El Jury, just to show you how good the speakers are.
Behold the Underminer! Watch after Jack. I thought we were gonna...
Anyhow, not bad. So, what's the big deal? Well, I paid like $3 for these speakers. That's what the big deal is. And they've lasted me about 10 years. Out of all the electronics I brought that I made in that video about what electronics to bring, the only thing that has lasted is these speakers and the portable scanner. The other stuff, all the phones and computers, they all burnt out. This is a cordless phone. There's two pieces. There's two phones to it. And so yeah, while the minimalist might talk himself out of the speakers, he might say, well, I don't need them. Maybe I can use my computer speakers. Maybe I can, you know, find some tiny portable speakers, or maybe I can just live without them. That's what the minimalist might say. And the frugalist says, boy, you know, I'd like to have some good speakers. How can I get my hands on some speakers without costing me, or just costing me very little? Or how can I just, you know, the industrious mind I'm talking about, I make this reference, and I feel like I'd like to expound on that a little bit more and say that you know, you've spent the best years of your life giving the best years of your life to an employer, to somebody's business. And then when we retire, we're not used to thinking in ways that, you know, I call it having an industrious mind. And so you're always, you know, having this industrious mind. It helps you think in different ways. And that's what I'm really talking about here. So, no, I've never used any special budgeting software or anything like that, because the frugalist has so much abundance. Typically, you know, you're not even budgeting. So that's how our life has been all along, and I've showed you, hopefully throughout our video making, that we've had a life of abundance all along, and we've always done it on small means, and we've never had to wait until we, you know, reached a certain level of wealth, or we've never had to, you know, bog ourselves down with 60 hours worth of employment at some employer and have a job and that kind of thing. We've always made our own industriousness, and because we were able to focus on it just as a way of life, it becomes a habit. And once you make something a habit, that's the idea I'm trying to zero in on here, is that once you make it a habit, and and that's what I do in the course. I give you all the ins and outs on how to just plug right in so that you can make it a habit, and from then out be able to not ever worry or actually feel like you're on a budget. That's the complete opposite of what the mentality is within Ram magazine circles about how you know, the only way to have an abundant life is, and I'm not saying that you can't, and I'm not saying that you can't go abroad and it can't be cheaper and it can't, you know, you can. But I'm just saying that I know that there's people out there that, you know, maybe going abroad's not for you. Maybe you've already done it and been there, done that, and it's just not your cup of tea. You know, that's who I'm talking to, because it's a shame to portray an idea that doesn't show you the complete picture. And I always like to, whenever I can, you know, provide a more complete picture to life. I've talked about this on several occasions in other videos, and the Mercado scene is not one I embrace after the foreigner population increases to a certain level. Unfortunately, it becomes very uncomfortable to go to Mercados, because I know better than to pay store prices or higher than store prices at a Mercado. I just know better, and I just don't do it. So it becomes a waste of time. But I'm just saying, it's not a panacea. You're not going to say, well, I'll go down there and gee whiz, yeah, this is the way to go local, just go to Mercados. That's not how it works. Guys, stick with me. I'll tell you the ins and outs. Been here almost 8 years, but that's not all of it. Used to live that way for decades in the States. That's why I'm so good at it. And you can be good at it too. You know, that's why I like sharing this information with you. So yeah, hey, there's actually somebody out here that has made frugalism a way of life for basically all our lives. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm just saying, and then I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm just saying that's what's worked for us, you know, for the last 20, 30 years. You know, prior to that, I was business-minded, and I say that I was business-minded all along. That's what an industrial mind is. It's just that the focus was on being a stay-at-home dad. It's the work to live, not live to work idea. I don't regret for a moment watching my children grow, and that's the real payoff. See, because really, you know, I think that people focus too much on money. And this is the real icing on the cake, is having these memories and these moments with my family. And that is what I praise God for correcting me and turning my life around. Because Guys, I was a type A personality. I had multiple businesses. I was in my 20s and was hiring and firing and all that stuff. And my workers' mothers would come in, and I was half their age, and they would just look at me like, "What? You're the owner?" Because I was just like this young kid. Nowadays, you see all these young digital nomads, but back then you didn't have that, you know. So I was one of the young ones, but like I say, you see a lot of people nowadays that are well off and they're young, and so I'm not saying this is the only way, but like I say, that's my payoff. It's my family, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. I still have a business mind. I still have a lot of things I could be talking about on that now that my children are grown, but that's a subject of a different video channel. So yeah, my video course is not just for retired folk, although they could certainly use it. It's for anyone that wants to change their life. And because, you know, I've lived this way in my 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and, you know, and beyond. So yeah, it's for anyone that feels that there's a better life out there. It's a way to have a better, more balanced life. That's what we're talking about. There's more to life than just giving your best years. I mean, look, if your assets have come to a certain level where you can say, hey, I'm gonna be able to utilize these assets, that's great. But I'm saying that if you're not there, it's not the end of the world. There's a way to do it. We've been making a lot of our own furniture. As you know, we like to live frugal, happy, and free. Okay, so you have a wonderful day, and thanks for listening.